All right, welcome back, everyone. You're watching the English language restream of RTA in Japan Summer 2025 in support of Doctors Without Borders. I am your host, Selkuth Mind, and also your commentator for this next run, and I've got another commentator joining me as well, if he'd like to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Queuety, and yeah, I'll be joining for commentary of SCHiM or SCHiM. I have not really done the speedrun or know too much about this game, but I'm here to hang out and hopefully keep everyone company.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. We got a three-way race. There's going to be a lot of screens to look at, so very helpful to have two sets of eyes looking at the three screens we're going to have.
And I did a little bit of research. We actually have at least two of the top 5 runners. I'm not quite sure about the third, but we do have, a very competitive running group here. So this should be really fun. And I know we just had a potential world record. I don't know if we'll see another one here, but it is definitely possible with this group that we have coming in.
Yeah, I believe we have the first, third, and fourth place runners doing this race. Okay. So they're all within 7-ish minutes, 7-8 minutes of each other. So this is going to be pretty impressive. One of the runners is just got the new world record 7 days ago. So this is potentially going to be a pretty hype, pretty exciting race.
Yeah, you love to see it. So we have 3 out of the top 4. Incredible. There is one German sitting in second place, but maybe we'll do something about that today. Who knows? But yeah, it's gonna be hype.
Yeah, SCHiM is a very cute indie game. Pretty heartfelt as well. We'll get into that once the game actually starts. But yeah, I'm excited. It's a really cool puzzle platformer, and I'm a big fan of those.
Oh, I noticed, maybe it's just me, but it looks like this tower defense transition screen has changed since the last time I was here. There's some red slime, some bats. It's been a couple of days since I last commentated. I see we've evolved. We're in a higher level now.
Yeah, we've evolved, and we've actually died a few times to some of the those big king slimes have actually made it to the tower more than once I've seen.
Oh, well, we've got 3 here, so now I'm a little scared. I didn't know that was a possibility.
It's okay. We just need some more of, what are they? I believe Archan, I think, is the little R character. Chat, correct me. I know there's Archan and Aru-chan, and I'm not sure which one that is, but we need some more of those R's coming out to attack the slimes.
Oh, it got one of them. It's okay. It's got a bandage. I don't think... There we go. I don't think it's going to go much further.
Also, I do have a quick little host announcement for you all. After SCHiM here, there is going to be a run added to the schedule. It's going to be Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter any percent. That's going to be very exciting. And as a reminder, if you want to see the updated schedule in English, you can type !schedule in chat. You'll get a link to that. We are also... probably looking for a commentator for that run. So if you know that game, if you know the Breath of Fire series, sign up to commentate, use ! form. But with that, it looks like it's time.
Awesome. And it's a great event where so many people are so fast and crushing records and stuff. You have to add in the backup runs because everything is moving so quickly. Like, that's just absolutely stellar.
All right, so we've got 3 runners here. In the bottom, we have Keyfox, or let me see, Kenban Gitsune. That is the world record holder. And then we have Snafful in the bottom right and Choro in the top right.
And for anyone who's curious, I had this question going in about the capitalization of the name. It is actually not an acronym, it seems. Although if we want to make it an acronym, chat, have some fun with that. But so SCHiM or SCHiM, is actually a Dutch word meaning shadow, and so the eye is little so that you can see the character there sitting on top. But it is an actual word just meaning shadow, and it is developed by a Dutch indie company or two individuals, and then published by an indie developer. But yeah, that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, I am excited. I know I got to play this game fairly early on release. Got a key from the devs, which was always delightful to get to have early access to some of these indie games. All right, and
we are underway.
They are off. So the whole concept is we are playing as shadows. This game is all about shadows and light, and we'll meet our little player character eventually after start of this intro. So we meet the boy and his shadow, which if you look really carefully, which is kind of hard to see on the screen because it's really small, there's this little like frog-like creature that's black and has eyes. That's the shadow. And this is a tutorial. It's essentially teaching us how to get back to the boy. And you can't stay on the light very long. You need to hop from shadow to shadow. However, the tutorial is weird like that, and I guess you can just get auto-teleported to the boy. That must be a speedrun skip.
So are the runners controlling the boy here or only the shadow?
When they are connected, they're controlling the boy. When they are disconnected, they're controlling the shadow.
Got it.
And so, yeah, we're just sort of getting introduced to the general mechanics here before the real story starts. This is very much, these are levels, but it's very much the intro and just getting you accustomed to moving around. You can spin the camera around as well. That's going to be important for other later chapters where you'll need to flip the camera around and stuff in order to unlock new shadows to be able to jump throughout them.
And while it says this game was released in 2024, it's actually been around a little bit longer than that. So it did win a few awards at the 2022 Tokyo Game Show. It won the Audience Award, Grand Prix, and the Best Game Design Award at that show. So it has been around for a little bit. It probably wasn't fully released at that time. So as color commentary, I feel like my obligation is to read the Wikipedia for you all, but there's some fun facts I got for you.
Hey, you know, I will happily have some help with the fun facts. I am noticing the colors are shifting, like on the outlines of characters, and I don't recall if that is actually relevant or if that's just color text, literally.
Yeah, it is interesting. The bottom right, Snaffu's screen was green for a little while. It seemed like everyone else was in yellow.
Oh, I know what it's doing. It's indicating the passage of time. As you may notice, the boy went from the beginning of this area, from being a child to now teenager, young adult. You know, that's a more adult-shaped body there. And this is going to be very important and relevant in a moment where I would say the story really starts. As you see there on Keyfox's screen in the bottom left, a little heartbroken there. You know, the person he's walking with is presumably girlfriend, maybe? Seems to have broken up with them, but he's got some new friends, he's graduated, and now he's sort of moving into adult life. And you are controlling the human here. That is what you control in these early stages.
So there is a little bit of, given it looks like there's a lot of other characters in the path and stuff, a little bit of micro optimization, I assume, around trying to not bonk into the other people and different things. So just making sure that you have those tight lines early on.
I would assume so. I do know that there are several levels in the game that are heavily cycle based, at least casually. And I would assume, right, if you have cycles casually, that typically then the speedrun route will also be very cycle based as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. It looks like Keyfox has already taken a noticeable early lead here, maybe 10 seconds or so.
Yeah, they are the world record holders, so I'm not terribly surprised by that. Yeah, we are seeing, part of being an adult is going and working, and he's got a job working in a corporate office.
止めてから徒歩で出社するんですが、無理やり飛んでいくということができました。
Now I'm just really curious what the day-to-day work is. Like, is this a tax accountant? Are they a lawyer? Are they a software developer? I'm trying to dig through the imagery to see if I can pick out any clues, but
I don't think it's ever really clarified. But unfortunately, we see that the man not only got fired, but his bike was stolen. If I remember correctly, I believe these devs are Dutch, so of course bikes will be seen a lot throughout this game. Lots of European culture, and he missed the bus. He's just having the worst possible day.
And so speaking of Dutch, this back to the Wikipedia. Actually, this is from something else. But the visual style is actually kind of inspired by a number of illustrators and games and media that are based in the Netherlands or by Dutch creators. So this art style, which to many of us, myself included, is very novel and unique, is actually inspired by some things, in Dutch culture, similar to the name. And so we are getting a kind of a peak of an international, media cultural influence. So it's really interesting that we have U.S. commentators at a Japanese event talking about a Dutch game. Like, that's just wild to me. We're hitting the entire globe right now.
Yeah. Something I do want to note there that you saw in that dramatic cutscene, after the worst day of his life, the man sort of just falls on his face and his shadow separates from him. And so this is where the real gameplay begins. We are now, as the shadow, trying to catch back up to our human, who is without a shadow. It makes him incomplete. And so we need to get back to him to restore him to being full and whole. Oh yes, that's a fun thing. As you may have saw there on, again, Keyfox's screen in the bottom left, jumped into the shadow of a moving vehicle. You can do that, and you will be moved along with the shadow. Typically, there's a few of them where you have to kind of move with it, but in general, you get moved along with that shadow.
But you don't, conversely, like when you join your person, you said you were controlling the person. When you join someone else's shadow, you can't then take over the vehicle or take over the person. There's no like ghostly possession thing going on.
No. It's sort of almost like, think of it as being like a frog jumping into puddles. The frog can control its own puddle, but it cannot control the other puddles that exist.
And it seems like it does, and it seems like you get one hop outside of a shadow. It looks like.
Depends on how fast you go. You can get a couple of hops. There's sort of a timer that exists. I will note again with Keyfox here, who's just very much in the lead. We're getting into the night levels. Some of these get really interesting a little bit later, where you get some flickering lights and things, and that can just affect different things in terms of what shadows exist. And suddenly a shadow maybe that was there is no longer there because the light turned on. And so it's very cycle based, this night area. Yeah, Snafful and Choro seem to be pretty close. I think Choro is in second at the moment.
Now, it's interesting that all of around these lampposts, which have light, the other areas are dark. It's interesting that you can't be in the shadows that aren't being cast by light. Because I guess in reality, they're not actually shadows. They're just darkness. But it's interesting to kind of see that dynamic of you're looking at the dark areas followed by a light area, followed by an even darker area, which is the shadow.
Yeah, that is accurate. We also now see more of the story. The man is packing up and moving, which is very alarming for the shadow because, with our human gone, we need to catch up to him. So hitch a ride with the garbage truck to get down the street. I believe you can solve that without using the truck. It's just significantly harder.
This is kind of reminding me of Toy Story a little bit, of where the kid goes away to college and all the toys are trying to follow.
Yeah, Toy Story 2, I believe that is, yeah. I will also note, so shadows, some of them have slightly different properties. Some of them can be kind of bouncy. So if it's a shadow, say, being cast by an awning, that shadow has some extra bounce to it, which lets you jump a bit more. You obviously have the moving shadows that are attached to a vehicle that moves. Those will automatically move you. There's also really, really skinny shadows as well. Those can be very interesting and very difficult to land in, which is also, again, partly why sometimes you will spin your camera around to a different position in order to sometimes get a slightly bigger, like, stick of shadow to land in. Otherwise, it's very precise. And Keyfox is now on the hardest level, in my opinion. I don't remember if I even got past this one because I just kind of got lost and stuck. But this is quite a complex puzzle here of needing to figure out what vehicle to attach yourself to, when to jump out, when to use the traffic poles to move. But also, you can, if you're in a traffic pole shadow and a vehicle drives over that shadow, you get pulled into the vehicle's shadow. So you don't want to end up accidentally being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or you might end up completely off cycle, going somewhere else in the level.
Yeah, that looked incredibly difficult. There was one point that the shadow got hit by a car. I was like, oh no, but that seemed to be intentional.
Yeah, don't worry, the shadow cannot be injured by vehicles. I tested that thoroughly in my casual playthrough. It's completely fine.
So when we're talking about precision and movement, it looks like you can only hop. You can't really do like a waddle or a walk. How committed is that hop? Can you change direction in air? Do you ever get a double jump? Or is it like extremely, once you jump, you have to hit that and you don't have much control over it?
To my knowledge, there is no double jump, and you can slightly adjust your direction once you've jumped, but by and large, it's once you've jumped, you're committed to that direction. The game is forgiving, though. Like, you do have more than one hop between shadows. I think the most I did once was 4 in a row. If you do like 4 fairly quick hops, you're good to keep going. The game is also pretty forgiving about like resetting you back to the last shadow you were in if you're out in the sun for too long.
Should we talk about the shadow that had eyes in it, because that brings up so many questions?
You know, there are other sentient shadows in this world. That's established right from the beginning of the game. You can see other shadows with eyes. So don't worry about the storage containers having eyes. It's fine. You know, they're friendly. I'm sure.
But it's interesting. It brings up this because, you know, initially I thought, okay, sentient being has a sentient shadow. That makes sense. But now we have non-sentient beings having sentient shadows, and now I'm asking philosophical questions like, does my desk have a living shadow? Am I stepping on it right now? I don't know what's happening.
Oh no, that's what an existential crisis. I'm going to point out something to distract from that. There was a sign shadow there that Keyfox was just in, and he used that to springboard, like fling himself forward, which is super cool. Again, some of these shadows have very interesting mechanics, some of which are triggered automatically, some of which might require you to do an input. I don't recall. Or like here, bouncing along the power lines. Those are just extra bouncy and springy, which is just really cool.
And we have been talking about Keyfox a lot because they are in the lead, but if we look over at Choro and Snafful, they are actually very close to one another within probably 5 seconds or so. And it's been going back and forth who's in the lead, so it's actually really interesting if you're looking for a secondary thing to kind of pay attention to, that little rivalry that's brewing over there.
Snafful just did something really cool and clipped through the fence into the shadow of one of the workers I was walking by. That was really cool.
さあちょっとムービースキップは見れてなかったんですが、お二方どうでしたかね。
ソロ、あ、どうぞ。
自分は行きました。
お、よかったです。
私も行きました。
お、素晴らしい。お二方ムービースキップも
Now,
成功してましたし。
we can see shadows in real life, so I'm wondering, do these humans see the frog shadow, or does that
Trying
not
to-
play into it at all?
I don't believe they do. I'm trying to recall whether some of the animals might see us. It's been a minute since I played. But yeah, I don't believe the humans see us. The animals might recognize that we exist, but they treat us as friendly, and they help us. There was a level earlier where we actually attach ourselves to the shadow of a mother duck and her ducklings and follow them along a path for a while.
基本的にパターンを組んでいるので、うまくいけば自転車置き場のところまで進めていれば成功
I
ですが。
wonder how long until this becomes a Pixar movie. It just feels like it's ready for it.
もうこんな離れたところまで進んでおりま
Yeah,
す。
it's a very cool game.
ここは車の影を使って
Shockingly, not as precise as it seems. So like these runners are making some very precise jumps, which is incredible to see. Casually, this game is actually fairly forgiving with its jumps. The harder part is actually the puzzle aspect. You need to figure out
違うか。
where are you going. There are also hints and things like there's in-game things that the game uses to help point you in the direction of like where you're supposed to go.
ちょっとどこ用に触れようかな。とりあえず先頭の鍵盤技術さん注目していきましょうか。はい。男はまあ引っ越しの荷物を
All right, he focuses onto a new area. Our human has moved forward and is just entered a building. And what a way, going through the wrong way through a roundabout, using the shadows of the trucks that are going the correct way. That was some careful timing. And like I said, this game has some cycles in it, and so the runners will, of course, be aiming to get certain cycles on the first try.
お、いいですね。カメラが迷子になってますね。さあ、スナッフルさんも新ガイドに挑戦すると思います。さあ、先頭の鍵盤技術が最初走っている女性の影に入れれば OK です。この女性の影を逃してしまうと十数秒のロスになってしまうので気をつけたいところです。
I'm actually trying to figure out what's happening on Snafful's screen. I'm very curious what's happening there.
全般的に周期を逃す
Oh yeah, is this a cutscene, or did we somehow?
逃さないように気をつけたいところです。
I think this is a cutscene. I think they're about 20 seconds behind Choro, I think.
影のギリギリからはい橋の上
That was a very interesting cutscene there. Looked like a group of people having a meal together.
Oh, Choro just jumped into a dog. I'm here
Oh.
for it.
And I think Key Fox just jumped into a bird, which was very interesting. I didn't know you could fly in the game. I will confess, I have not actually finished the game casually, so that's news to me, that piece there. But we've got a canal now. I'm very curious to see what happens with water, whether we need to avoid that or not. I would assume we would need to.
さあここではですね、あるちょっとした
You can theoretically put shadows like in a pool. I'm not saying they do that in this game, but light does get into a pool at some points.
さあこの
Yes, it does.
川におもむろに落ちま
Although we haven't established whether or not the frog needs to breathe.
Well, it's a shadow, so it's
このリスポーン位置を
Is it-
まあ
is it living?
設定して、
it's hard to say.
まあステージをカットするってことはこの後
This game is very existential suddenly.
I think that is, if we think about like the Dutch and Netherlands and stuff in general, I think that they do tend to have some more of that kind of existential life philosophy type stuff. Also, like France and some other places nearby have a lot of that stuff too. So it's good to see it kind of translated into a game structure. And the game is not necessarily confronting us with this or making it a big deal. We're kind of pulling this up ourselves, which is always good when a game can kind of transcend the medium and become art in that way, provoke discussion, provoke let's not call it a crisis, but like thought-provoking, like philosophical discussions. Is our shadow alive? What does it mean to be alive? Does it breathe? Like it's fun stuff.
Yeah, I will say this game, if I remember correctly, has no text in it, which means regardless of what language you speak, you can play this game.
はい、
Like, you do not need to. Obviously, there's menus and things, but outside of that, this is just a story told through visuals. And I think a lot of us can probably relate to feelings of disappointment and stress and moving and all these different things of life transitions, which this game handles very well. That's, I would say, one of the highlights of this game, in my opinion. Also, sorry, I just noticed on Keyfox's thing, he is going into the water. I think he's trying to glitch.
I think he's trying to shoot to the shadow on the tree, which I assume is a skip. Oh,
yeah, that was a skip, I think. Because he landed in the water briefly and then was wiggling the camera, and I guess that was probably to try and move up to get into range of the shadow of the tree. That was very interesting and very cool.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Choro and Snafful do that as well. I'm curious because I know that there's a bit of a gap on the leaderboard between the three of them, and I'm curious if that kind of a skip is what the difference maker is, because I think there's about 7 minutes between Keyfox, Choro, and Snafful, and I'm curious if something like that is the cause of it. We'll have to keep an eye on both their screens, see if they go for that same skip. Because it looked like it was a little bit difficult to set up. Keyfox had to try it several times, and so I'm curious how consistent it is as well.
Yeah, I also know that that new world record is, as I said, about a week old. So it could also be that there's been some tech that's been found a little more recently.
That's true.
Because this, the game fully released in 2024, about mid 2024, so it's been out for about a year or so. Oh, here's Charo. Gonna go. Oh, looks like Charles trying to go for the same skip. Oh. But that also means that there might be some newer tech that's been found. I know the community has been trying to work on getting the time down, because an hour and 20 minutes is a long time for this game. So if they could find some skips, I know there'd be some members of the community who'd be pretty happy.
And that happens a lot sometimes when a group, especially when you have the three top runners all preparing at the same time for a marathon, where, oh, Choro got the skip there.
Very good.
So everyone suddenly is playing the game again, multiple hours a day or a week, and then they coming back from not having played it for a while, taking a break, playing something else. And I know sometimes when I do that, I end up thinking about the game like completely differently. Oh wow, that's going to put them really close together. Snaffy was behind, but that'll make up a lot of time.
It was very impressive. All right. Oh, we're in a grocery store now over on Keyfox's screen. Very interesting. Something I will note that I've been noticing just sort of watching the three runners is I'm noticing that Keyfox is not rotating their camera as much versus Snafful, it seems, actually is the one who's rotating their camera the most. If you know where you're jumping to and aiming to, it probably is actually possible to do most levels without rotating your camera much at all. I just, as someone who's only played this casually, it's absolutely mind-blowing to see how little they seem to need to do that.
Yeah, I think in general for speedrunning, camera movement is kind of a sign of your level of comfort with a game. So I know Keyfox, I was watching their world record earlier. I think they have over 200 runs on this game. And so obviously very comfortable with it. That's, maybe 150, 200 hours in the game. And so oftentimes if somebody isn't doing as much camera movements just because they are so comfortable and know and expect what's coming up, versus when you might be a little bit less comfortable or you want to be more secure, a little bit safer, you'll play with the camera a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh, and we are seeing the return of the lights, the street lights, that's the word, down in Keyfox's screen again.
ここまでのように見えるんですが、
None of these are blinking ones, but
ゴミを散らかして
again, there are blinking ones that do exist, and those can make some interesting effects. Oh, I forgot about that too.
The headlights.
Some of the night levels make use of headlights in inducing shadows, and again, it's all cycle based as a result.
ここはどうしても待つ必要がある。
It looked like they were stuck for a little bit. I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen. It was really cool when the headlights came in. I wasn't expecting that.
失敗があるんですけど、
はいはい。
そこそこ順調な感じ。
いいですね。ぜひ。
Oh, and there, yeah, timing that jump just right for that one light to turn on in order for a shadow to appear.
さあ、男はピザ
Yeah, Choro and Snafful are very close to each other. Snafful getting that that skip at that bridge first try
光が鍵を
seems to have been absolutely huge. They've made up a lot of time.
周りを動いているものは影の位置も動きますので、それを考慮した移動をしないといけないというところがありますので、そこも気をつけなければなりません。さあ、ここは、車を待って車の中に入っていけ
I'm
る。
starting to wonder about when does the shadow sleep?
車の前に自転
Because
車
we're going through day, we're going through night. I'm just kind of curious. Does the shadow frog ever rest?
いい感じですね。
He's on a mission to get back to his human.
進んでいるところです。
It is nice to think that no matter what happens, no one is ever alone because you have your shadow.
ピザで
That is a comforting thought.
ピザが冷えると思うんですが大丈夫でしょうか。ここもね、雨はあんまり関係ないんですが、夜ステージとなっておりまして、入れる影が少ないので、しっかりと移動する自転車の影に乗り続けないといけないというところもありまして、少々難しいステージとなっております。このステー
I'm
ジ
noticing Keyfox is intentionally waiting for cycles to avoid going through or riding through the black area. Would that have resulted in a death or a reset if they had just stayed on the bicycle and the bicycle went through the dark area, or would you not be able to just jump from one side to the other?
What's probably occurring there, or at least my best guess, is it would take too long. Like you wouldn't actually carry on with the shadow because there is no shadow for you to continue to move with. You'd have to jump through that shadow to keep up with the bike. And so it could be an issue of just trying to stay aligned with the bike through those shadows. On top of, it's possible that you might just end up being out of a shadow for too long and end up resetting. So it's probably easier cycle-wise to just jump out to something that's outside of it. Also, someone jumped on a vehicle and set up an alarm. I forgot about that little detail in the game. There's all sorts of fun little things that you can do by jumping into certain shadows.
And that wouldn't affect the frog, would it? Or would all the humans respond to the alarm and now the shadows are in different places?
Nope, it just is little world building flavor.
鍵盤技術の画面注目です。ここ難しい瞬間です。
Yeah, if I'm thinking about games like The Sims or something, I haven't noticed any environmental manipulation in that way, like, move a balloon so that the shadow moves for you or something like that. Is there anything like that in the game?
難易度の高い新難易度に成功しました。
Not to my knowledge. The closest you get to that is some of the things like, those signs that they've been using to fling themselves. You can kind of control those and pull them back to get a bigger fling. Or we saw a table umbrella get used as well. That could be pulled really far back to make that swing forward. In one of the early levels, there might be something you can do to make a dog shift its position a little bit so you can jump into its shadow more easily, but there's also a way to do it without needing to do anything to manipulate the dog's position.
Okay, looks like Snafu has caught up quite a bit. It seems like maybe 5 seconds between the two of them right now.
こちらも見ていきたいところです。
I'm just sort of looking to see how Koro is going to do the cycles. Ooh.
これは
As you saw there, Koro ended up being stuck out of a shadow for too long and got sent backwards. Just a bit of a time loss.
ちょっとロスになってしまいます。
Accidentally giving Snafu the opening to maybe overtake. They're actually in the same... Oh, there we go. Snafu takes the lead, I think.
Oh, no.
Or maybe
quite.
not.
チョロさん
Yeah.
が
They are like
並びましたね、完全に。本当に。
2 seconds, not even that. They're a second apart right now.
Yeah, this is a photo finish if they stay at this pace.
読んでおりまして、でこのステージですね、鍵盤キツネさんは
I'm not actually
時間
sure
を使った移動を
who's ahead right now.
おります。さあここですね、途中追い乗り
Oh, Snafful has taken the lead
Yeah,
over,
it looks
over
like-
Toro.
の影に乗り込むんです。
Charles just got stuck out of a shadow and ended up off cycle. Which again, this game has a lot of cycles to it, and it can be very punishing if you miss one.
And of course, we're moving into the later game where presumably things are getting harder, cycles are getting harder, and so there's going to be more room for that back and forth, for things to happen, for cycles to be a little different. And when you're this close together, like 1 second, 2 second apart, you know, a cycle is all it takes, missing one bike, missing one car, and suddenly the lead is shifted. And I'm curious, you know, in person, because they can, I assume, see each other's monitors from where they're situated. I'm curious how much they're looking back and forth. It's like, oh no, they just overtook. Or if the audience starts cheering, maybe they notice. But I always find that interesting during live races, how much they're paying attention to each other.
Yeah, they all seem pretty locked in from what we can see. They're all doing fantastic. I'm curious now to see with Key Fox what's happening here. Where are we at in the story? I think we're still just chasing our human down, it looks like.
男がピザを食べているところに突入しております。
And it's interesting the shadow knows where to go, because we haven't, unless I'm missing it, we don't see the same human in each level. So they're having to do a little bit of detective work, I guess, or figuring out maybe they know the address. But I'm curious like how they're keeping pace.
Yeah, fairly frequently, at least early game, you'll sort of see the start of the level. Like, for example, on Snafful's screen, the person who just went into the
それはあるかもしれない。
hotel, I think that is, or the H building,
鍵盤キツネさんが
is our human.
Okay.
So we'll see this shadowless man enter places periodically. There's also there's some other like ways casually to determine sort of what direction to go. All again without text. This game has no text in it. To sort of figure out where you're going.
この車の影ですが、車によって入りやすい影、入りにくい影みたいなのあったり
Oh yeah, Choro's just not having a good time here on this night level.
するとすごい低空ジャンプになってしまって、なかなかうまくジャンプ
There we go. They're out of the night level, or they're out of the rain night level, I should say.
車がジャンプしやすいんですかね。はい、鍵盤キツネさん。
Yeah, you wouldn't think it, but this is like very precise Super Meat Boy type platforming. Like you have to get everything, the cycles, the shadows, the small platforms. Like it looks wide open and flat, but you're just targeting those little ledges basically. So like it is actually very difficult, I imagine.
入るんですが、はい、最速
Yeah.
集計
Once you get the flow of the movement, it's actually really smooth. Like when you can get in a loop of just like jumping, say, from tree to tree to tree, or from lamppost to lamppost.
やってまいりました。
It's so satisfying and so smooth. It's very good.
ステージなのですが、
But yes, it can also be very precise, and some of the cycles can be very punishing, especially if you're dealing with vehicles. Some of those vehicles have extremely long cycles, and so if you miss one, it can be 30, almost 60 seconds before the vehicle you need comes back.
後ほどチョロさんも
And I think that might be what we saw with Churro earlier. They let Snafu catch up, right? They missed a cycle, and then it took quite a little bit of time to get to the next one.
人間挑戦しますね。
Yeah.
はい。
It can also be very punishing. Sometimes you think you've landed in a shadow, and instead you've landed just on the edge of it, and the game doesn't register that you're in the shadow, and so it sends you back, and that kind of sucks.
スタミナとして止まってくれることがあるんですが、
We saw on Key Fox's screen a moment ago that we saw the shadowless man. Again, we were chasing after him.
さあ、鍵盤キツネさん、ここに
But I'm not quite sure what he's doing. He's just kind of keeps bouncing in and out of this one post shadow into people. And when he jumps into the people's shadows, they seem to stop and react a little bit. This is unusual. I've not seen that before.
鍵に乗って、
I guess he was waiting for the car to come along. But yeah,
People were
there's the
clapping,
shadowless
so-
man.
から
So it must have been a skip of some kind because people were clapping for that particular trick.
Yeah, that I'm unsure of. Oh wow, what a camera angle Keyfox is using. Some of those shadows were extremely tiny.
34攻めルート行けました。
And since this game did win an award for best game design, it's kind of fascinating to me, like how they would have built out these shadows after designing the levels. Whether they have, you know, a fixed sun proxy that they're using within Unity, whether they're hand drawn and they're trying to take perspective into account. If anyone's ever done artwork or game design or whatever, using like light sources and figuring out where things are and how to place them and how that affects how they're drawn and things, like the artistic work that would have gone into this, which is easy to kind of just gloss over as we're watching the gameplay, like must have been a massive undertaking, like very carefully designing each level.
Yeah, for sure. The care definitely went into the design of this game. That's very clear from playing it. Very interestingly, I'm noticing Keyfox is now in water. So I guess we have an answer. You can interact with shadows in water.
There we go. We're on a beach. Oh, we can fly the kite shadow too, apparently.
Very interesting. There we go. One of those flings again from the umbrellas.
Oh, I was really hoping we were going in the volleyball.
No, but he used the throw of the volleyball to launch himself forward. That was really cool.
小さい犬がいますので、こちらも連れてきます。ちなみにこのワンちゃんの
I see Snafful is on another one of these big traffic levels. These are very puzzly, very cycles, can be very difficult to figure out where exactly you're going. But of course, they're speedrunners, and so they know exactly where they need to go.
And this level Keyfox is on is wild. The complexity of what is happening right now.
Yeah, some of these levels are pretty big. But there's the goal, I guess. Landed in the shadow of a person. Oh, and there's our human again.
Do we have a kind of concept on the passage of time across this game? Because I know we went through like several years at the beginning. I'm curious, are we trying to chase them down over the course of their life, or is this more like a couple of days?
That I am unsure. Based on what I'm seeing so far, my sense is that it is within a shorter period of time. So whether that's days, weeks, months, I would guess it is over a fairly short period of time. We get some guesses at that just from what seems to be happening to the man, in that, right, so obviously he got fired, and then he moved, and then it looked like, you know, he was maybe working at a warehouse, or, you know, was putting his stuff into a storage unit, something like that. You know, he's going to the grocery store, he's doing these different things. Those are not over this usually the span of a couple of days. Those are things that usually take most people, you know, a few weeks or a few months. But my guess would be a span of at most a handful of years.
And the way you're talking about like the environmental storytelling, but the game's not actually telling us that stuff, it kind of really reminds me of Unpacking, if anyone's played that, where you're learning the story just by unloading the boxes, and you're like, oh, okay, now they have a new journal, or they picked up hockey, or like whatever it is. Like that environmental storytelling with no words is really cool. And we're in a bullet train.
That golf mechanic was really cool. I don't know if you saw that. Keyfox was literally like controlling the golf ball. That was very cool.
I'm trying to get a gauge on just how far ahead Keyfox is, but since we're watching 3 different screens, I haven't quite figured it out yet.
Keyfox, I would say, is probably at least a couple minutes ahead. Which again makes sense. Keyfox is the current world record holder and is let me see, I have the SRC page up. Keyfox is currently 5.5 minutes ahead of Choro on the leaderboard, so makes sense.
Yeah, so let's keep an eye on the RTA time. I know the leaderboard uses load remove time, but I'm curious if KeyFox gets anywhere near a 106. Oh, what if we had 2 records back to back? Wouldn't that be weird? That'd be
That would be
amazing.
pretty wild. Which is again a reminder that we do have another game coming in after this one. It's been added to the schedule off backup. That'll be Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter 90%. We have found a commentator for that, but if you're watching this and you're like, hey, I'd like to help commentate, check out the schedule, ! schedule in chat. You'll get to see an English schedule there. And if there's a game on there that doesn't have a commentator currently listed and you've played it casually or you speedrun it or you have knowledge about, you know, the series in general, if it's part of a series, you can type ! form in the chat to get the sign up form to commentate. We would love to have your help bringing English commentary to these fantastic runs.
And I especially have an eye on the strongest tofu, not an eye to commentate. I'm just going to be watching that run because I think, one, it needs a commentator. So somebody, if you know anything about the strongest.
Tofu's on the schedule?
Yes, it is.
How did I miss this?
It's tomorrow. Yeah.
Huh. I tried out that game at PAX West. It is a wild experience of a game.
It sounds like we might have a commentator then. You're getting voluntold, I think.
Oh no, I'm being voluntold.
Well, I just saw the name and tofu in all caps. I was like, I feel like I gotta watch that one.
そうですよね。あそこやっぱカットする前提。
Yeah.
Not to take away from SCHiM. SCHiM is also awesome. All of RTA is awesome, but that one in particular, talking about the future schedule, had caught my eye.
Yeah. Oh, whoa, look at those clothesline spins. That's a really cool mechanic.
Yeah, I like how the game and the runners as well, whether or not some of these are intended directly by the designer, I'm not quite sure for the routing, but like the way everyone is taking advantage of taking a game concept, i.e. being in shadows, and really taking it to the maximum limit of what you could do with that concept. Like put them in kites and volleyballs and golf balls and clotheslines. And it's like, how far can we take that as we get further and further into the game? Like, it's really cool to see them just like really embracing that. Chat says we're speedrunning the marathon, 1 world record at a time. And that is, yeah, if you have not been with us for the previous couple of days, like we are consistently ahead of schedule because our runners have been so amazing and the transitions have been very precise, very on time. Like usually for a transition, stage transition, a lot of these are races, you know, they might take 5-10 minutes to transition, set everything up. Oftentimes, like we don't even get a break screen. It's like 30 seconds later, we got 4 people up on stage. So like it's been an incredible event, incredibly well run, and all of the runners have, you know, executed amazingly.
I see something very interesting happening here on KeyFox's screen. So we have actually a reverse where most of the world is shadow and there's little snippets of light. And it looks like we're sort of jumping through this alternate world with the man who's in the lights, obviously. And I see we're coming up on a trike. If you recall the very first level was literally the boy on the trike. And we got separated from him, and we had to hop our way back to him on the tricycle. But it does. Oh yeah, we're literally rewalking through the story.
Okay, this is the breakup we saw earlier, I guess.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Now, functionally for the runner, I'm guessing this is basically an auto scroller.
I would guess as well. From what I'm seeing, it doesn't look like the band's jumps are controlled or triggered by ours. It's literally just he's got to do the jumps. I'm sure there's an optimization and an optimal path to take for this, but
oh, that was cool. The light is a tie, so that's representing him going to the corporation, I think.
that's
Yep, there we go.
oh yeah, there's the boss.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes.
If this just became like a shoot 'em up, like Undertale or something, and things started flying out of the guy.
This feels like the man's maybe having a nightmare. That's sort of the vibes I'm almost having.
I like it was like, I don't care about you. And the boss just explodes. Oh, this is the bike that gets stolen, I guess.
Yeah. I'm also sort of looking back and keeping an eye on the other two runners. Looks like Snafful is a fair bit ahead now of Choro. I'm not quite sure where Choro got hung up, but it looks like they got a little bit hung up.
このステージ違いますね。
そうかそうか、ここじゃないか。
Well, there's always, especially in these difficult games, there's always the opportunity, just like how Snafu caught back up on a couple of cycles. You know, Snafu, we don't know, might struggle a little bit more in the late game and have an opportunity for Churro to come back. At this point, I'm not sure if people are going to catch up to Key Fox. We can keep the hope alive, but I definitely think that there is still very much an active race between Churro and Snafu.
For sure, for sure. Also, I wanted to say hello, Raiders. Welcome to the channel. You're watching the English language restream of RTA in Japan Summer 2025. It's Japan's largest speedrunning event, running twice a year. This is obviously the summer one, and it's running for a week long from August 9th to August 15th. You're watching a through race of SCHiM, an indie puzzle platformer. We've got Key Fox in the bottom left, Snafful in the bottom right, and Charo in the top right. And that is currently the order of where they're at in the game. Key Fox is significantly ahead at the moment.
I'm looking at I'm not the barrier. I'm not quite sure the technical term for it, but it was going back and forth with no cars coming through, and I was like, if I saw that in real life, that would terrify me.
Yeah, I feel that would be quite alarming, I think. Yeah, I'm sort of keeping an eye now on Snafful here to see if I can figure out what's going. Oh, looks like a man was falling down into his shadow. I wonder if this is the end. Yes, okay, so this is the entrance into that whole area where it's shadows into light. Is yeah, I guess symbolizing a nightmare or an alternate reality, something like that.
It could be, not to psychoanalyze it too much because I have no idea what I'm talking about, but it could be, falling into depression or something like that as well.
Yeah, that's also a very real possibility. I do know it's relatively clear from, at least the first part of the game that, not having his shadow, is detrimental. He's not whole without his shadow, and neither are we whole without our human. Yeah, the man was playing hopscotch, it looks like. I guess sort of maybe we're trying to get him to return back to us by sort of going back through his life and re-engaging in past activities that we did together. That's my current theory.
Since I have the Wikipedia open, let's see if there is a plot section. There is apparently a hard mode called risky mode that you can play after you beat the game.
That I've heard of, yeah.
ここのステージ50の心眼移動はですね、鍵盤ギツネさんとチョロさんは順路を進むルートで、スナッフさんはムービー中に来る自転車に乗るルートを採用しております。自転車の方は自転車の速度によって速かったよ。
For those who maybe just tuned in to explain a little bit of what you might be seeing, that little black blob that is hopping around, that is the character we are controlling, and that is the shadow of the man who has no shadow, has a different outline than everyone else, sort of looks empty or paler in color. Got separated from him early in the game, and we are now trying to get back connected to him. Very interesting. He has, on Key Fox's screen, has entered into a place. What an odd looking...
I was going to say, maybe it's an interview. Or like a new job.
I don't know why there would be cardboard cutouts of people in an interview, but sure.
I mean, it all depends on the job, right? Like,
You know, that's valid.
somebody in chat's asking how many world records have there been today. We know of one possibly world record. I think it was by 3 seconds. I don't know if there's been any others. We could
Yeah,
get one
sure,
here.
either.
I don't know how Keyfox is doing. But there's always a chance.
人が来たのでこちらの方は早いですね。はい。
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Keyfox's current world record to know how likely they are to break that.
Let me pull it up. Not that I know the levels well enough, but 49 minutes. Where are we?
どんな技が見つかってもおかしくはありません。
Okay.
They're.
さあ、
I was gonna say they're about 30 seconds behind the world record. It looks like.
Okay. And it looks to me like Choro is maybe about 2 minutes behind Snafful now. Very interesting. Oh, this is a very interesting level that Keyfox is on with some of these moving parts. Looks like in a museum. Very interesting. Some moving parts. And transitioning between rooms. This is very interesting. Oh, our human has a job as a security guard, maybe.
Okay, that's why there's cutouts. Those are maybe like Napoleon or something. Whatever the museum is.
That would make some sense, yeah. Launching through these doors into new rooms is really cool. I'm loving that. They're making the movement look so fluid and so smooth, and it is this fluid and this smooth, especially once you know where you're going. Like, you can just get into rhythm of just jumping through shadows, and it's very satisfying to do.
はい、大丈夫そうですね。なんかフェンスの土台みたいなところのちっちゃい影に入ると序盤のベンチに飛ばされてしまうということが発生するので、それを避けていました。
That was a very short level for Keyfox there. That was maybe 4 seconds long.
Yeah, some of them are pretty quick indeed.
来てない車が。
車、スナーフルさん、車来ない。車を待っています。交通量が少ない。あ、大丈夫ですね。よかった。ちょっと遅かったですかね。
そうですね。
こんな感じで乱数に苦しい。
This does make me wonder a little bit after they reconnect with their human and they kind of establish the home base, know where they live and stuff. I wonder if the shadow will occasionally, take itself for a walk because it's learned how to go around. So like, I wonder if like they'll come back, they'll meet at home, like, you can jump through the window or whatever, but you could still go out for a walk, hang out with the cats and stuff on the street. But I'm curious about. Yeah, newfound independence for our shadow friend.
I guess we'll see.
はい、スーパーマーケットでは男が雑用。
I ask all the silly questions that none of us have answers to. That's what I'm here for.
ということをこなしてますね。スーパーマーケットで言えば買い物です。
It's interesting. The human doesn't have a shadow, but it looked like he still had a reflection on the ground. I don't know the difference between a reflection and a shadow. I'm sure there's a light diffusion, whatever science thing, but it was interesting to see. He still has that reflection.
Yeah, he sort of has the empty space where the shadow would go.
デザインのパッケージ版となっておりまして、永久封入特典としてステッカーもついてきます。これはもう買うしかありません。皆様よろしくお願いいたします。 さあと言ってる間に鍵盤ギッツネさんはもうこのステージの終わりに差し掛かっておりますね。さあチョロさんも精神世界から抜け出してきたところです。
I just noticed in Churro's screen there, sitting inside of the garbage can shadow, it looks like you can interact with it and make the garbage go flying out.
難しいところが
That's a bad shadow. Bad shadow.
It's littering. Don't litter. That's bad.
2箇所というかこうなってしまったらやり直すしかないというポイントがありますので、それを引かないように気をつけたいところ。
Yeah, it's hard to tell how far Snafful is behind Keyfox right now. Because I know it's about 2 minutes between Snafful and Choro. but yeah,
スナッフルさんもハロワに今入ったとこ
I think knowing that we have probably about 10 minutes left in this, 10-15 minutes left in this run, it's probably an amount that, unfortunately for Snafu, I don't think can be made up at this point. But
鍵盤月にはねステージ50
I'm hoping Churro's going to take a good shot at it. I think we can still have a little bit of competition there, but I do think Key Fox is running away with
だ
this.
けではあるんですが道路を何回か横断しないといけないので
Key Fox is absolutely schmoving through this game.
この後道路を渡る必要が
And chat says this could be a prerequisite to the Kingdom Hearts universe, which, you know, I support. They are very shadow heavy.
I guess there are shadows at that game. That is someone whose sole exposure to Kingdom Hearts has been hosting a Kingdom Hearts 2 randomizer.
戻されましたかね
There's shadows in that game, yes, I think.
まあまあ
I've only played the first one, actually.
Okay.
So I can vouch that there are shadows in the first one, but then I know that there's like 7 more games, so I can't vouch for any of the other ones. But
There's so many games.
来ましたおっと車の鍵に
Speaking of more games, there are, of course, more games coming up at this event. If you want to see all stuff that's coming up, exclamation mark schedule in chat to get the English schedule. We've got a game coming up, and then we're going to have a nice little rhythm block. I'm excited for that.
発生してちょっと
and we do have a game that was added to the schedule that might not be on the written schedule coming up
It
next.
should
Right?
be on the schedule by now.
Okay.
Let me double check. Let me refresh the schedule.
スナッフルさんミュージアムスキップは挑戦されてますいいですねさあまずは
It,
Oh, no,
yes,
it
it has
is.
been added.
Yes.
Yeah.
あ
It is on the schedule now.
It usually helps if I press refresh. For some reason, I thought Google Docs would just do it. I don't- Silly me, believing in
Google Docs.
technology.
に入
Are not that sophisticated. Oh, very interesting. Some of those really small skips in through like
か
the
なり長くなっておりましてしかも
the
積みが
separate like the
発生する
corridor
ポイントが
line marker ribbon thingers.
いろんな
That was a great description, Sel. Very good English.
強さが今
But yeah, once again, just showing some of the precision that's needed to jump into some of those really small, thin shadows.
できなかったこれはもう原付乗りますかね
はい、乗ります。
おっと
Well, maybe
Okay.
this is over a few
なんかに
years.
かかりましたかね今
ですね。
The man is looking a little older.
はい、行けました。ハロ
はい
ワーに。
ハロワに来ましたね
He's working at
さあスナッフルさん
a
今
zoo now.
ミュージアムスキップに挑戦しております
I was gonna say I was trying to figure out when we were in the cutscene where we were because there's toppled over columns and different things.
ここは本来手前の部屋から先に進むところなんですが、あ、戻されてしま
It's
った。
interesting that the shadow doesn't physically match
そうですね。
the person because like all the shadows we see on the ground match the thing, whereas we are a frog, and then I guess if we get back to the person we'll spread out or do whatever. But it's interesting that we are very different in complexion in composition to the person we are following, and we haven't aged or changed or anything the way they have.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
入ると自動的に押してくれるんですが、
Also, I noticed that in the zoo there can control the fish a little bit.
しまうとベビーカーがなく
Yeah, why not? Mind
So-
control fish.
Sure. Also, I think Key Fox just jumped into a shadow that was not visible to us from the camera angle that he's at. That's wild.
大丈夫そうです。
Yeah, just a very strong sign of somebody who's confident in their run and knowing where that is.
さあいいパターンだったら便利
Yeah, and also I've been keeping an eye on the times. I think Snaffle's maybe about 5 minutes behind right now.
届かないな。
あー届かない。
Which does, as we said earlier, line up with about where the speedrun records are. So another game that we can play along with is I'm curious. We know Key Fox set the world record about 7 days ago. Churro last updated or PB'd 2 months ago, and Snafu was 6 months ago. So I'm curious if any of them will hit a PB during this race as well, because they might have been practicing and not uploaded something or whatever. I'm curious if we're going to actually see a PB here from either one of them.
Yeah. Let me double check who the moderators are. If I remember correctly, I am friends with one of the moderators for this game. My understanding is there's nothing left in the queue for this. So
Okay.
there's not a PB from one of them sitting there waiting to be verified. At least as of yesterday when I last talked to them. But yeah, I could very much see them potentially one of them having a PB here, which would be really, really cool.
最後のイベントに入ろうとしているところです。
And one of the fun things when something like that happens with SRC is you upload it and then you can set it as a featured run on your profile. So it's always really cool if you get a PB or a really good run at an event, because then that can become your featured run and you can, I don't know if brag is the right way, but you can show it off a little bit on your profile and be like, yeah, I did this thing live. So I'm rooting for them. I don't know if that's, something in the cards. I don't know the runs well enough to know if they're on pace, but like, I got my fingers crossed. I'm hoping for him.
Yeah, that was something really interesting that happened on Keyfox's screen. He jumped into the man's shadow and actually turned it back black for a second. That was very cool. Also, oh no, his place is on fire. Oh dear.
But also, if there's too much light, you won't have any shadows.
True. Oh, and even worse, does the man have a child now? There's a child trapped in an upper story of this building that's on fire. That's not... Oh, he's going in to rescue.
And the shadow's coming.
Come on, Shadow, you can do it.
Now I'm wondering if the kid has a shadow. If the parent didn't have a shadow at the time that they had a kid, does the kid get to have a shadow?
Oh wow, we're literally jumping through the burning building. This is very small, tight little maps now. This looks very challenging. I would not be surprised if this is not near the end of the run.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely coming up on the end since we're over an hour, and Keyfox is probably looking at about a 106, 107 based on pace. So yeah, we're definitely towards the end here, but the map switching so quickly when you go through doors like that, you have to very quickly kind of reevaluate the map, where the shadows are, things like that. So rather than having the big expansive maps where you can kind of see everything and plan around it, it's switching very quickly.
I'm very curious what the shadow is pulling on Keyfox's screen. The shadow is pulling something.
I'm hoping a fire extinguisher, maybe.
But the man had a fire extinguisher. It looked almost like a toy. I'm very unsure. It's very interesting. This is also a very big building that we're jumping through.
He does very well at the cardboard cutout factory.
Oh, we found a thingy sign.
壁にぶつかった気がするんですけど大丈夫ですかね。壁にビ
Well,
チ
these fires turned red. They're not orange anymore.
この先も影が点滅したり、明かりをつけたりしないといけなかったりするところもありますので、テンポよく進んでいきたいところです。男がなかなか扉を開けられないので、
Beams across the door. That's never good.
水を動かして、扉を開けれるようにすることができました。
We're helping him out. Okay. So I'll be very curious if we get reunited with him or if we're left always separated, but we're able to live alongside the man at the end. This is gonna be very interesting.
Is that a Roomba?
I think so.
I mean, a legally distinct robot vacuum.
Vacuum robot, yes.
何事もないことを祈りたいです。ゲーマンゲズさんはさらに上の階に進みました。
Oh, the fire is getting angrier and angrier.
Yeah, we're now on the third floor, which is where, based off of the outside of the building, anyways, that's where the child was located.
というのは子供の頃は見えているが、大人になるにつれ見えなくなっていくという。
Oh, the child's following us, it looks like.
忘れてしまうものってあるかもしれませんね。
Oh, we hit the fire extinguisher. Oh, just for that room though.
Yep.
今笑ってよかったです。大丈夫です。
So we've got some really, really intensive puzzles here. It seems like this final area that Keyfox is in is very, very puzzle based. Okay, we're on to the second floor, it looks like, with the child.
動物園前まで来ましたね。
I'm going to point back to Snafful here again. Snafful is back in the fish level, which, if you missed that before, it looks like he can control some of those fish.
ところもね、ここまでトースターでジャンプできるっていうことを私なんか最初知らなくて、
And go up and down and whatever that thing is.
A fountain sort of thing.
でいきましょう。
Took him a second try to get that fountain jump. All right, there's the boy. Looks like the boy or the child is out.
入って進んでいきます。
We are,
あ動い
ここ行っ
I
て
guess
そうですね。
now it's our task to try and get out. Oh no.
そうです。
Oh no, we are trapped in this room. And there's the man.
閉じ込められてしまうんですが、男が駆けつけてホースで消火して助けてくれました。
He's gonna save us this time.
さんが車の陰に入れないのを見てしまいました。
見ないでください。内緒でお願いします。
はい、行ってしまいました。なかなか3画面を追うのは難しいですが、これはこれで。
Saving the kid, not us.
さあ、鍵盤ギツネさんの方、男と少年が避難して、スキム君は、
Oh,
離れ離れになって
Oh,
別々に行動
that was a
しましょう
big thing that dropped. Oh dear.
さあ
That looks very ominous, that
少
level.
年がスキムのことを助けようとラジコンの消防車を送ってく
Well,
る。
that's that toy we saw earlier, like a train or something.
I wonder if that's why we need to retrieve it earlier, so that we could maneuver through things.
さあ、男は少年を連れて出して、
Oh, I think they're stuck. They're trying to figure out how to get out.
閉まっていて、窓が開かない。スキム君が開けてあげます。さあこうする
Oh,
と外に出られるようになり
okay.
ました
Push the shutter button, but it didn't seem to work on that one.
と飛び降ります。さあ、鍵盤ギツネさんの方、
And there's the fire department there to rescue them.
よろしくお願いします。タイマーストップの瞬間はですね、男
Now
は
can the shadow get
消
out?
防隊の帽子をかぶって左下に歩いていく、
Can a shadow experience fall damage?
暗転が入った瞬間がタイマーストップとなります。よろしくお願いします。
Hmm. Good question. I don't know.
さあ、少年を助けた
If he
男、
jumps right now, he can land on the human. There we go.
ようやくなんかさっき入ったような気もするんですが、ようやくまたスキム君
Oh.
一つになることができまし
He's
た。
being reunited.
影がなくな
Look
って
at that. They're one again.
周りがくっきりと晴れやかになっていきますね。でここでね、おそらくね、こうやってお前よくやったじゃねえか
And the whole world is just a little
やっ
brighter.
てくれたのはおそらく序盤ステージ5あたりに出てきた、まあ、なんか消防隊の真似事みたいなことをしていた幼馴染ではないのではないかと思います。
So now we are just waiting to see at what point the
いろんな想像を
the
して
time
いきます
is.
さあ、もうすぐタイマーストップです。
Choro has now caught up to that fish swimming level. Took a very different path through that. Very interesting. That's time for that.
106. Okay, that's about
It's time for
30 seconds. Yeah.
いや
About
Okay. Yeah.
30 seconds off the world record RTA, anyways. So yeah,
Yeah.
plus minus 30
ということ
seconds.
は
That is very good for a marathon run. It's very impressive.
プラス20、30秒くらい。早すぎる。
すごい。
And so, for reference for anyone watching, the leaderboard is done in load remove time. So while the RTA time is about 30 seconds longer, I don't know what that would be in load removed time. I assume it wouldn't be enough of a difference that this would have been a record or anything like that. But it's an interesting dynamic at play that feels like should be mentioned.
積みポイントは大丈夫そう
But
です。
now we can focus and see if maybe we get a PV on the other side here.
人はなんかこうお互いにこう干渉し合って
Yeah, for sure. I'm sort of keeping an eye on
進めなくなるってことがあるんですが、
Choro on the top to see if I can figure out how behind they currently are. Because Snafful obviously is entering into this final area here, this whole burning building sequence.
So for reference, chat, the time we're looking for Snafu is anything under 1:14:33. So they have about 7 minutes to finish this, burning building segment. I don't remember off the top of my head how quickly Key Fox did it, but 7 minutes feels very doable to me. So I'm rooting for them.
Choro's about 4 minutes behind Snafful,
Okay.
if my math is correct.
ルンバを一回周期逃すとまたかなり時間がかかってしまうので、
Oh yeah, we're in the zoo now, over with Choro.
Yeah, we're near the end of the zoo section, yeah.
はい、うまくいきましたね。
Snafu also picking up this kind of train thing.
はい、突き抜けました。
危なかった。
よかったです。
あ、
おっとさあチョロさんも間もなく動物園から、出てきて家事ステージに向かおうかというところです。最後までまだまだ目が離せません。ですから直接ジャンプ。ちなみに椅子もね、回転物干しみたいに回してジャンプするというアクションができるんですが、今回椅子を使ってジャンプすることはありません。
It looks like Key Fox is in the middle there, in black of the two runners, because I see keeps looking back and forth between the other two screens.
Very good eye. Yeah. That's good then that the two, let's call them competing runners, aren't next to each other, so you're a little less focused on how far apart you are.
先に進みましょう。ここ木材にちょっと引っかかりやすいんですよね。はい。先に進み
Snafful seemed to get a little stuck there
ここに座ら
on
ず
a
に
couple of those beams.
おっと大丈夫か。
Oh,
ここで光がついたり消えたりっていうところなので。
again, cycles are a pain in this game.
渡っていってこの先です
I feel
ね。
like cycles are low-key a pain in all speedruns.
This is true.
途中で折り返
This is
して
true.
左の方
Oh, we're back to the robot vacuum.
あーちょっと厳しそうですね。
あ
これは
普通に行きます。
はい進んでいきましょう。
It looks like maybe we have some control over the vacuum, or at least which direction, clockwise, counterclockwise, it's going.
Potentially. There's obviously we can turn on lights, we can interact with some things, so that's very possible. That's one of the things that we can interact with a bit.
110. We still have about 4 minutes left for Snafu to PB.
ちなみにこの子供の頃にしか
And
だろうという
Choro has caught up.
ゲームの中
Is now in that final burning house area.
Yep, there's definitely still a little bit, and this is a difficult section as we were talking about, so there's definitely still a little bit of room for Choro to make up some ground here.
今回 RTA 中はおそらくおっとお
いけた。
いけた地味スキップですね。これスキップになってるかどうかなかなか怪しい感じはしますが、私も実は裏で走って1時間30分というとんでもないタイムを叩き出し
And
て
then after this run finishes, while we're transitioning to the next one, I do encourage everyone to look at the RTA shop and some of the other stuff that is going around the event. I know that I already have the tab open, and you can get some of those mascots and different things as keychains, as plushies, as shirts, or hoodies. You know, delivery based on where you live may or may not be doable. I can't speak to all of that, but they're amazing products, and I'm very much looking forward to doing some shopping after I get off the air here.
Yeah, the
奏者さんの名前が
keychains are very cute.
そこには触れないでおきます。
ちょっと童
Yeah,
貞
if we didn't know better, I would say Snafu and Churro are like right neck and neck. But I do know that there's just a couple of floors maybe separating them right now.
Yeah, because Choro is still following the man, and Snafful is helping the child now.
男の子がですね、頭を加えてもうダメだとなっているんですが、男が駆けつけて
But I think Choro actually did catch up a little bit.
あ、チョロスさんのほど
I don't think they're as far behind as they were when in the zoo area.
珍しいパターン。
Oh, that was interesting.
大丈夫。
Choro
I'm not.
reset something?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if that was a reset or if that's to try to load skip something or what happened there.
Could have also been an unstuck button sort of thing too. Again, I don't know the Japanese text, so I'm not sure. Something happened anyways for Choro.
Okay, we have about 2 minutes left on that PB watch for Snafu. We are already in the red section with the train towards the bottom, so I don't remember exactly how long this piece took, but I think it's going to be close whether this is a PB.
この猫を通り抜けて、なんか燃えたような気もしますが大丈夫でしょう。
まあリスポン位置が
Because this is the last section before they jump out the window.
Yep.
大丈夫でした。
大丈夫でした。さあ窓を開けて脱出するというところです。あ、チャオさんまだまだ時間はありますので、続いて頑張っていきましょう。
It's really interesting to me. Time doesn't stop at what seems to me to be last control, and that we wait for that kind of reunion cutscene thing prior to calling time.
乗り損ねた時にたまに起 きる現象で、
Yeah, I can understand why. Just from knowing a bunch of games like this, why that's
怖いです。
a likely
だけ
endpoint.
どそう今回もね、一度お見せすることが
But yeah, that is definitely interesting. All right,
Okay,
Snafful
one
has,
minute.
has entered, and
スナッフルさんの方も
they've reunited, and we're gonna wait for them to call time.
一つに戻りました。
About 50 seconds on PB watch here. It's like hurricane watch, but fun.
さあスナッフルさんのタイムにも注目したいところ。
I'm so stressed right now. Just watching the timer.
左下に男が歩いてきまして、暗転入ってし
I
ま
guess because you're probably controlling the man here.
Yes, that's probably the case.
はい、ダイヤマストップです。
Hi.
That would be a PB. That's 20 seconds.
1時間14
For RTA, so I imagine load removed is also probably a PB.
Yes, that is
Incredible job.
a good clarification. I can't call it a PB without knowing that the load remove time, which I hope they have a standard way of doing that, because obviously
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, it would be a little bit of work to go through and manually remove the load times for 65 levels. But you know, hopefully it seems like it's a PB in this case, at least by RTA standards.
We can call it an RTA PB at RTA in Japan.
There we
Incredible
go.
job.
サインモードでジャンプして、
And now we're just we're cheering on Charo, who seemed to have just some weird issues with things just not seeming to cooperate mechanically in this final area. I've seen them get stuck and like get sent back a few times, like they just jumped a little short and couldn't land in a shadow, it seems like.
And this game being heavily, we've seen some spots where there is a couple of skips that had to be retried. We've seen some spots where, like with the fish, there was a different route or a different cycle. And sometimes all of those things can conspire against you a little bit. And sometimes when one goes wrong, you start getting a little bit worried about future ones. So then maybe your timing gets a little off or something like that. Like, but still putting up, you know, what would be top 5 times. So number 5 is 119, and we're well under that.
For sure, these are definitely some of the top runners of this game, and it's been an incredible race. Looks like Snafful is the runner in the green shirt there in the cam. Both runners are now watching Charo, who's the one on the other side of the commentator there.
動きにも結構注目ですね。
そうなんですね。
主人公君が結構オロオロしてるのが、勝利君がスキム君に向けていろいろ
It always scares me when the roof falls down.
That is a little scary. I do also want to give a little shout out to Snafful, who is currently the only runner on the leaderboard to have run 100%. I'd be very curious to know what 100% entails in this game.
Actually, yeah, that is a good question. Let's see. All collectibles must be collected.
思います。
Oh, interesting.
今スイッチそこにある
I don't know what collectibles are in this game, actually.
So we saw some of them, like for example, in the burning place here, you gathered one of those
やったという感じで
signs that you can interact with
Okay.
to fling yourself forward. That is my understanding of what the collectibles are. I could also be incorrect in that.
つけました。チョロさんの方も間もなく
But it's almost time for Charo, coming in under estimate. Very good.
カチカチ
早く早く
してるんですね。
早く
Yeah, this is probably, if I remember, based off of Snaffle, probably about 45, 60 seconds away. So still, like I said, under the 5th place time. So this is still even a marathon. Like that's how good these runners are, where you have a run that feels, by comparison, maybe not quite as good, but it's still a top, 5-time world record. So done live in person. And so it's easy to say like, oh, the times are a little far apart, but it's actually, they're such incredible runners that by comparison, it feels that way, but it's actually incredibly well executed.
さあ、チョロさんの方もタイム
Yeah,
ストップ
that'll be time very shortly for
下に歩き
Charo.
タイムストップとなりますのでよろしくお願いしま
This
す。
makes me want to go back and finish this game, having now seen it.
I did take a little peek at it on Steam during the run, and it's actually only, hashtag not sponsored, but actually only $16 on Steam. and that's time for churro. But so if you are interested in this, like it's pretty easy to pick up. Obviously, you know, we kind of understand the gameplay at this point, so if it interests you, definitely give it a look.
Yeah, if you like puzzle platformers, or even like a little bit of precision platforming as well, this is a fantastic game made by a Dutch development team. They put a lot of love and effort into this game, so yeah, definitely consider going and showing them some love and checking it out for yourself. But with that, Queuety, do you have any shoutouts?
I mean, I'm just happy to be here. I mean, I appreciate that you invited me, even though I know nothing about the game. So I've had fun hanging out with everybody. RTA. This is my first year doing anything with RTA. It's been an amazing event. Everyone is super welcoming. The runners, when I did the inscription run, specifically shouted out the English stream. So I know that locally in Japan, they are thinking about the global audience, thinking about all of us out here watching and supporting long distance. So it's been an amazing event. So I'll just shout out the event runners, everyone involved, the tech teams, the commentators, the sponsors, the runners. It's a lot to put together, and they're doing an amazing job. Like I said, they're running ahead on everything. They're super well, organized and all of that. So yeah, I just have nothing but the utmost respect for everybody involved.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining me, making this less lonely. Me commentating this for an hour 20 would have been a little bit tiring by myself, but this has been fun working together.
Likewise.
Yeah, I will be back continuing as your host still for the next run. So don't worry, I'm not going anywhere yet. Our next run will be Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter. We'll get set up for that very shortly in just a minute. But yeah, we're going to let the runners finish their shoutouts, and English commentary will be back with you very shortly.
していただいたチームの方へちょっとメッセージを送りたいと思います。Hello, SCHiM team. Thank you for watching our race until the end. This game is nostalgic, but it also gives us new way to think every time we play. It's one of the best games we've ever played. On behalf of the members here, thank you so much for creating this wonderful game. We are all excited for your next project. We'd also like to thank all the SCHiM speedrunners around the world. We hope many new players will join, and the community will become even more active. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございます。はい、それでは、これでSCHiMはある程度終わりとなりますが、最後何か宣伝事項、皆様ありますでしょうか。特に。
大丈夫
です。
あれはやりますか。じゃあすいません、1個だけ
はい、
私のノートの記事の方でこのSCHiM Any% の簡単なチャートですね、画像付きあと動画付きで準備していますので、もし気になる方いたらぜひビープビープスキップとかは簡単なので、ぜひそこから始めてみていただいて、いろんな遊び方このSCHiMで楽しんでいただければなと思います。よろしくお願いします。
はい、よろしくお願いします。スタッフさんが動画も作成されているということなので、
そうですね。YouTube の方に、操作の足がかりとなるような、動画を、5分ほどの短い動画なんで、ぜひ見ていただければなと思います。はい。
はい、初心者にも手厚いSCHiMの RTA をぜひよろしくお願いいたします。はい、私からの宣伝事項は特にありませんので、ぜひ RTA Japan サマー2025この後も最後まで楽しんでいただければと思います。それでは、SCHiM の Any% RTA のレース、走者は
ちょろっと
鍵盤ギツネと、
スナッフルでした。
解説は鹿田でお送りしました。ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。